Welcome to the Ragnar's podcast. I'm Helene Christensen from ICROS, and I'm joined here today by Pernille Pennington from the Danish advisory organization SIGES. Will you tell us a bit about the AgriSpin thematic network?
Yes, I was part of the project. It started in 2015 and ran for about 2 years till August-September 2017. It dealt with innovation in agriculture, and the point of the project was to answer questions like, how is innovation driven, how is it promoted, and how to do it in the most optimal way, what hinders innovation processes.
Yeah. And which work package were you involved in?
I was involved in the communication work package, which was number 5. So my job was to work with the communication from the beginning to the end. My job was to start with making a website, the website called AgriSpin.eu. And the point of the website was to collect all materials, all research, all practical cases, all knowledge generated in the project for everybody to see. Not just for the project members or partners, but for everybody. That includes farmers, advisors, innovation networks, politicians and policymakers, and innovation researchers as well.
So the primary communication channels were the website, and did you also use social media, or which kind of communication channels did you use?
The point of the project was to reach as many end users as possible. So our target group was very wide, you could say. It consisted of, as I mentioned before, politicians and policymakers, farmers, agricultural networks, innovation researchers, and advisors. So we just wanted to reach as wide a public or audience as possible. And the idea was to use the idea of cascading informational communication. So we made the website, and the website was the basis of all communication in relation to the project. And all news articles, all material generated, all knowledge generated, all videos, all the material generated in the project was all put on the website. And then from there, all the news articles were then published on our social media channels, and they included Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And also all the videos we had a YouTube channel, so we had all the social media were all AgriSpin channels. So we had a Twitter channel, we had a Facebook channel, and we had a LinkedIn channel, and then we also had a YouTube channel. That's how it was. That's how we imagined we could reach the end users in the best way possible.
And what was the end user's response? Did you get a lot of followers?
Well, we got a fair amount. The final report mentions that the numbers were very high. So what we did in the project was, the whole idea was that everybody, all partners, were in it together. So everybody had to use their own channels for communication in their own country. So what we did here at SIGES was sort of like the basis for all communication in the project.
So you also made a plan for how the partners could distribute the content.
Yes, yeah, we did that from the start. When we made the website, I also made a dissemination guide, and we made a guide for a Gantt card for when to publish a news article and who was responsible, and in connection to what kind of deliverable you had to publish a news article. So that was, I mean, all the logistics were there. I mean, it was easy for the partners to know what to do, or we tried to make it easy anyway. We tried to to make it easy to know as a partner what your job was, communication-wise.
But which kind of barriers did you see, if you saw any?
The project AgriSpin was a pretty big project. So of course, the more partners are involved, the more complex the processes get. So, and of course, that makes for a more complex role for the communication part of it. And also, I mean, in a project like the AgriSpin project, you, of course, like in any other project, you have a certain amount of hours that you can use on the project. And so even though I wanted to make an editors group comprised by all the people in the project who had something to do with communication, that was not a possibility. So what I did instead was I made a dissemination guide, and I made a Gantt card to show everybody in the project who worked with communication how to go about it, or how I would like them to go about it, so that we could all share the task and get connect with as many end users as possible. So that was the idea of it. And of course, it's kind of hard to keep tabs on what's going on in a big project like that if you don't really talk with everybody, with the people in the project who have something to do with the communication part. So basically, when I got when we got the numbers from everybody else that showed us what they had done communication wise, it all became a little clearer actually. So the fact that we had to make a status report every 6 months was actually a good thing.
What do you see as the most useful outcomes from AgriSpin? Did you develop any kind of tools or communication material that were very useful?
I hope so. Yes. If I had to select something that we, between all the things that we did, I think that the website has proven to be a good place. That's definitely something that I'm personally proud of, because all the knowledge generated in the project is on the website, and it's a mix, of course, between reports from the more theoretical parts of the project and all the practical cases that we looked into and examined during the 2 years that the project was going on. Apart from that, I think the videos that all deal with the different cases, the different practical cases, farmers who have done some sort of innovation, and who on the videos they told about their innovation and how they went about it and so on, what the role of the advisor was and so forth. And I think that's a really good tool as well. And I would think that the toolkit that was produced in the deliverable 3 is also a good source of information.
Can you tell us a bit about the toolkit and the content of it?
It's what it does is it tells if you're interested in innovation, it gives you a method to use to obtain the best possible innovation process possible. It has a spiral that tells you what the different steps in an innovation process should be, what makes for the best outcome. And that, I think, is a really good tool for both advisors and farmers and everybody who's interested in innovation in agriculture, actually. I can only recommend that. And it's on the website. You can find it on the website as well. And also it's made on the basis, the spiral, the innovation spiral is made on the basis of all the practical cases and, of course, the research that was done in the project as well. So it's a synthesis, basically, of all the innovation, or of all the knowledge generated in the project.
And how did you find working with partners across Europe? Did you see a useful range of expertise, and did you also see some challenges?
I think that working across the European borders is a good thing, a really good thing. And it was, for me, I was not personally involved in the networking part of the project. But from what I saw, from all the results, from the cases, from the videos, from the research that was done, it was all, it all benefited a lot from, from being a European project, from having 13 partners, and from taking place in 13 different countries. I mean, we would not have been able to get the same knowledge base if we had just made the project in Denmark or in any of the other EU countries that were involved in the project. It was the fact that there were 13 partners working across borders that made the whole project a really good case, and that made for valuable knowledge generating of knowledge.
Let's talk about Erasmus. What do you think of the aims of Erasmus to facilitate networking between thematic networks and collate thematic network outputs in one knowledge base? Do you see it as a potential for other thematic networks to upload, collate the content in a common platform?
I think it's a really good idea to make a knowledge base which is comprised of knowledge from several European countries. I think it's a really good idea, because innovation takes place everywhere. So of course people in other countries have really great ideas, and they might have thought of something that you haven't thought about. So you can you can get a lot of inspiration from listening to the stories, innovation stories of other people.
And it might also help projects and thematic networks keeping their content alive after the end of their projects.
Definitely. I think that if you have a knowledge base or whatever, it's a place where advisors and farmers, everybody who's interested in innovation, can access and find information that will probably inspire them in their own innovation processes and in their own desire to innovate.
Good. But unless you have more to tell, I will say thank you for joining us today, Pernille.
You're welcome.
The Erasmus project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme under Grant Agreement number 817863.